I just want to ask Brian Crawford, who's the head cheese at Willis Knighton.
Senior Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer, Willis Knighton. Brian Crawford. Hey, Brian, welcome back. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, guys. Good to be back.
You got any Willis Knighton beanies? You could send me a beanie.
I'll see what I can do, Aaron. We've always got a few gifts that we send out in our take-home patients bag. We got Willis the Bear that we give for new mothers, so
Yeah.
I can probably round up one of those. I don't know about a beanie.
Who knew, Brian, that you could get goosebumps on top of your head? I think it's
Yeah.
a medical first.
Yeah.
She'll be in an ambulance in no time.
So you got the COVID shot yesterday. Dozens of Willis Knighton employees did. Explain the process and how it went.
Yeah, it went great. You know, I said it yesterday, and when the vaccine got there about 8:30 yesterday morning, and we had to thaw it out over a couple hours, so we started giving the first round of vaccines about 11 o'clock. Our president and CEO, Jim Elrod, was the first one to get the shot, setting the example and leadership in our health institution. And we did over 125 vaccines yesterday to frontline healthcare workers and administrators. And, we knew in October that the shot was going to be available about mid-December. So we sent information out on the Willis Knighton portal to all of our employees where they could sign up for the shot. It's not mandatory. It's strictly voluntary. And once they did that, they picked a day and a time. And once they came in, we gave them the CDC information sheet that talked about all of the precautions. And if you have a fever, if you're breastfeeding, pregnant, if your immune system is compromised, you need to check with your physician before you get the shot. Then they signed a consent form, got the shot, and waited 15 minutes to see if there were any adverse reactions. You know, the only adverse reaction I had was my arm feels like my brother punched it when I was like 12 years old. It's a little sore, but otherwise that was it. But great day yesterday. I said it, yesterday was kind of our Super Bowl and our Christmas all rolled into one. It's the day that healthcare started to be able to fight back because
Brian?
all we've been doing is playing defense since March.
Brian, let me ask you, some medical providers are making it mandatory for those folks who come in contact. Why did Willis Knighton make the decision not to go that direction?
Yeah, I don't think it's just Willis Knighton. The CDC actually recommends that it be a voluntary and not a mandatory, especially for healthcare workers. So Ochsner's, Christus, all the hospitals actually that we were in contact with and have been contacted went through LDH in the state are making it voluntary. This is a very personal decision for people. It's kind of like the flu shot, and they need to do their own research and come to their own conclusions about whether or not they want to take the shot or not. We maintain, precautions with our COVID patients. We still have 104. We're still at maximum capacity at a lot of our facilities. So those people in the emergency room and that are on the floors, they're still maintaining and we all wear masks. I wear a mask all day long with people. So we're still maintaining those whether they have the shot or not.
Brian, this is the Pfizer vaccine that you guys, the first one out. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, that's correct. Came in at minus 70 degrees. Willis Knighton has an ultra-cool freezer in our pharmacy, so we're able to store that. It's got to sit out for about 2 hours until it thaws. And then each vial has about 5 shots in it. And so we have to be very precise about how many people we know we're going to give it to that day, so we set out the right amount because it has to be given within so many hours, so many days of being thawed out. And then you have to go back 21 days later and get the second shot. So what they tell us is when you get your first shot, which I got yesterday, within 7 days, you are above 80 percentile efficiency rate or efficacy rate for not catching COVID. And then when you get the second shot 21 days later, you are above 95%.
See, that was
hanging in there for my 7 days.
That was going to be my next question. What kind of, adamant, how forceful are you? And hey, don't forget, you're going to need a second shot. Is there some sort of, we were talking about this a while ago, sort of an advertising, a marketing plan? What are the folks who are administering the vaccine telling the folks there, you got to come back, don't forget?
Yeah, well, the good thing is that we have control over the population that we're giving it to right now because they're all our employees. So they're all on our computer system. We've got phone numbers so we can text message those employees. So when they got the shot yesterday, they also received a CDC card reminding them with a date, kind of like when you go to your hairdresser, your doctor, your dentist, and they say, here's your follow-up appointment date. So they've got a card for that. We've got their contact information. They will start getting notices about a week out that they are in line to get their second shot 21 days from yesterday. And so we'll be pretty forceful to remind them.
Is that going to be how, like, when it's available at primary care physicians or CVS or whatever else it happens to be, are they going to do that kind of reminder? I would assume they're going to be pretty adamant about that also.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine both require the 2 inoculations. Now, I'm trying to remember that there's one that's the English version that only requires the 1 shot, but I'm not sure exactly when it's coming out. We're going to get some of the Moderna next week to go with the 975 doses we got yesterday from Pfizer. We'll get another 250 from Morris-Dixon today.
When do you anticipate starting to get to the vulnerable population, the nursing homes? When is that going to happen, Brian?
I'm hoping it happens soon, Aaron. We're looking at the first part of the year, and not only that, but first responders. Fire and police were not in the 1A designation for this first round, and I've spoken to the fire chief, and they're a little anxious about, because they come in contact with a lot of folks out there, and they take universal precautions too, and they have their masks on. But we want to get them taken care of too. But certainly those most vulnerable in the nursing home populations that are most susceptible to having a number of comorbidities and those things that lead to more severe prognosis if they catch COVID. We certainly want them to have that vaccine as soon as possible. So I'm hoping the first part of the year, general population, late spring probably, and when we start actually seeing results in this and some type of herd immunity, probably late summer, early fall. So it'll be 9 months to a year before we start seeing any return to like a normal that we knew in maybe 2019, probably into next year.
One more quick question before we let you go. Thank you in advance, by the way. You made a point early on, and I would expect in the medical community it's a huge exhale. You had said, at last we're on offense. And given the darkness, the depression, oh man, nothing's ever going to change, that surrounded this virus over the last 8 or 10 months. And the medical community, you and Willis Knighton, explain to people once again why to you guys yesterday was an awesome day.
Well, since the very beginning, Willis Knighton has taken care of about 65% of all COVID hospitalized patients, and along with our other partners here with LSU and Ochsner and Christus, we have seen nothing but wave after wave of COVID. The healthcare workers, I can't say enough about the nurses, the doctors, the respiratory therapists, and the support staff that I have seen work to exhaustion, and I have seen more than 700 of Willis Knighton employees actually contract COVID, and I've seen those nurses come right back and go right back up on the floor and take care of patients. I've seen them hold their cell phones up for them while they're telling their family goodbye because they knew that within 24 hours they were not going to make it. I've just seen heartbreaking story after heartbreaking story, and there has been no light until yesterday. And that light may be far away. It may be a year away, but at least there is a light now. And we know that once we start with these vaccines to the general population, it chokes off COVID, because if COVID can't bounce from one person to another, you know this, Robert and Aaron, that's how it dies. It's got to have somebody to jump to. And if there's nobody left to jump to, then that is when you have the eradication of the virus. And so yesterday was a huge emotional day for healthcare workers across the country, really, and across the world. We saw it here, saw nurses getting very emotional, doctors getting very emotional, taking the shot and saying, Brian, this is the beginning of the end of COVID. Thank God.